Yeah, he's a Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. My name is Albert Okran, welcoming you to Ghana's foremost developmental program and that place where the greatest minds in the world converge. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and in partnership with MTN Ghana, the Enterprise Group and the Ghana Growth Program, a collaboration between MasterCard Foundation and Springboard. So, this is the year that the Lord has made. We'll rejoice and be glad in it. Today, I am happy to welcome our viewers on Joy News to this great adventure called Springboard, your virtual university. Get your friends to tell their friends to join us every Sunday, same time on Joy News for this adventure. So, today we are looking at Dare to Dream. Dare to Dream. And it's because I have a very special person I've known for several years in the studio. A man who has dared to dream and lived the dream and is still living the dream. The immediate past Vice Chancellor of UPSA, my own brother and friend, Reverend Professor Abednego Feehi Okoe Amartey. Prof, good to see you.
Good to see you, Reverend Okran. Bless you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What a blessing to have you again in the virtual university. When I get the dons to be here with me in the virtual university, I feel very privileged.
It's a big platform.
It's a blessing, sir. So I have good news for everyone because Prof just authored this wonderful book called Feehi, All is Well. And we'll talk about this book in this conversation. But the thesis of today's discussion is Dare to Dream because Prof tells a story in this book about having a father who was a fisherman and farmer, grandfather, fisherman, farmer, mother, fishmonger and petty trader, and grandmother, fishmonger. Prof went to Saito. One day I asked Mr. Ishmael Yamson, can a person go to Saito and become CEO of Unilever or chairman of Unilever? He said to me, you can go to Saito and achieve anything if you dare to dream. So today, I have somebody who has dared to dream to tell us how he did it, the legacy, the learnings, and what tools we can use to be able to defy all odds and live the dream. Prof, how do you find the title, Dare to Dream?
It's excellent. I think it fits into the book and what we are going to discuss today.
Right. Yeah. The book is called Feehi. I love it because your name and the book are symptomatic. What inspired the choice of title?
It's my name, first of all. The fifth son of a family of 6. And so the Ghana tradition, my mother giving birth to first one boy, second one boy, third one boy. They expected a girl, a boy came. Fifth one, they expected a boy, a girl, and another boy came. So they were like, Feehi.
It's all good.
It's all good. But it turned out to be prophetic.
I guess so. How has that name shaped your personal philosophy?
Mm-hmm. So virtually I've lived the name. And so my personal mantra is God is good. So instead of just saying, all is good or all is well, so God is good. So I've seen the hand of God throughout my life. I sit back and look at it and I was like, oh, okay, so this is why this happened. This is why God didn't allow this to happen. So God is good, yes.
I think I have a scripture that I will use to back the name and the outlook, but what would be your personal scriptural reference for the name and this philosophy that says all is well and God is good?
The scripture that has inspired me personally is Ephesians 3:20. That he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think.
Wow.
So
according to his power that works in us. Yes. Would you be tempted to add Romans 8:28 that all things will work together for good?
And that love the Lord.
Yes.
God according to his purpose.
I think I can add that with special permission.
Anytime.
Wonderful. I'm going to come to your leadership, your legacy, and your learnings, especially the rich the rich learnings from having held the role of Vice Chancellor of UPS. UPS is an institution that many people are watching and seeing. It's a model. So having led it for 8 years and the remarkable developments that have happened, we'll come into that. But I think I want to start from daring to dream. How important is the preamble that I laid, that you did not necessarily come from that kind of home that somebody will say, yeah, the foundation was laid for them, the plate was good, so they just had to climb on from there. How real is coming from significantly far behind in terms of the economic ladder? How real is that dynamic?
In a way, I think that rather was the motivation. He that is down fears no fall. So you have no choice but to try. But more important, I think that from a family where they emphasize on hard work, good values, and say the family name is more important than riches. I recall when I passed my O-levels, in those days, not many people go to sixth form. And my uncle invited me for a meeting. And all he said was that, go protect the family name. They were more concerned about that than any other thing. And for them, when you go protect the family name, live good values, hard work. Those are the things. So they are not going to ask you to make money. They are not going to ask you to have flashy cars. They are going to ask you that protect the family name.
Anytime I hear somebody tell a story and say, when I was young, my parents or my uncle or somebody said this to me, and that has guided me throughout my life, it just makes me very reflective about the power of words, and even for parents, the things we tell our children and how it shapes their life. With your years of experience as an educator, as a leader and manager, and also as a pastor, how powerful are words in shaping the destinies of people, especially those that we oversee or we parent?
It cannot be overemphasized. For me, it's the most important thing. And in the book, I spoke about the fact that I lost my mother at the age of 13. But her words rang in my ears almost every day. And I mentioned the fact that when I was growing up, because I was more or less always sick, a sick child, nobody really had that confidence in me. In my early years, only my mother, because I was bullied in school and all kinds of things. But the words of my mother, you are the best. You will go to university. I will see your graduation. So those were the words. And I believed it. And I was so young, 6 years, 7 years. I believed her words. And so for me, it was like, oh, my mother said I would make it. And that was it.
Wow. So when you were graduating and she wasn't there in person, how did it feel?
I had a mental picture of her as I walked on the days for my certificate. What I was imagining was her standing there. And I think for me, that was the most important moment for me.
Wow.
So words are so critical. The things you say to young people, they form mental pictures of them. It will guide their lives.
For somebody who grew up in what people would want to call a disadvantaged background, for lack of a better word, sometimes people...
It was actually.
Yes. I mean, the kind of hustle, the kind of accommodation, and I'm sure when you get to read the book, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Growing up, living in the same room with so many people, that kind of background. You've mentioned three things so far that propelled you. One of them was the fact that, listen, this is as low as it can get. It can't get lower than this. So there was no fear.
Yeah.
The second thing was a family that constantly promotes hard work and a good name.
Yeah.
And the third thing is the words of a mother who believed. Those words have stayed with you till today.
Yeah.
Could these be principles, or could these be attributes, or could these reflect in the life of anyone who finds themselves with a false start or a difficult beginning, a small beginning in anything?
Those are the foundations for anyone. Even if you came from a very good family, they still could be the foundations.
Right.
The environment is so important. You can create your own environment, because coming from La and the area, people know the place to be the weed smoking headquarters and all the vices from that end. My family, my grandfather was able to create an environment such that whilst nobody was going to school, if you come from this family, you got to go to school. If you come from this family, hard work is important. If you come from this family, good behavior is important. So in the midst of the bad environment, he created a mini environment for us that you go out and play with the other boys, all right, but you know that this is not accepted in this family. So it's good for everyone. Again, the love of a mother or those around you, so important. And the words they speak to you, anybody at all can benefit from that. And not just for those who are coming from disadvantaged background, even for those who are coming from well-to-do families, you still need it. I've been to school with others that they came from very good families, and I've seen the extreme ends. One from a very good family who still kept their values, and today is at AFDB, and another from a good family who didn't keep those values. And I was walking around Osu some years back. Somebody asked for some change. I thought the face was familiar. Then I recognized that this was a gentleman that when we were in Aquinas Secondary School could actually drive to school. Was 18 years, could drive to school, changing his white shirt every day. One day he came to school and said he didn't drive because it's a punishment to the mother that the previous weekend they wanted to go to, those days, the club. And the mother said he should go with the sister and he wanted to go with the girlfriend. So he left the car, and this week he will not drive. And the mother was begging him to drive. He will not drive.
How did he feel? How did you feel at the time?
And I was like, please, I beg you, I want to drive. But I met this guy to sue and was begging me for some coins. And I mentioned his name. He said, do you know me? I said, Aquinas. That's what happened. Then he was frank with me. He said, well, I went to drugs. I said, your mom? He said, my mother couldn't take the shock, so she passed.
Wow.
And that kind of thing. So, and I had another friend who, from good family, kept the values, and today is making it big.
What does this say about the power of choice, Prof?
In fact, so I taught the young people in school, it's about choices. It's about life is about choices, the decisions that we make, that they can give you the platform, but you got to make your own choices. And this is something I tell young people anytime I have the opportunity, that you have to make the choice. When you make the choices, you got to live by those decisions.
Prof, there's so much I would like to explore, but I think I owe it to our viewers. I almost said our readers. I love reading. and that's why this book is very, very important. I've been waiting for this book for a long time, so I'm happy it's come out. And the book is All Is Well, Feehi. But let's explore your legacy at UPSC, Abednego Feehi Okoe Amartey Towers. And those twin towers are humongous. How many rooms does it have?
In fact, it's a lot. Offices for lecturers, lecture halls, moot court for our law school, and
all in that complex.
And then also they have businesses in there and all of that.
Wow. What would you call your biggest legacy in UPSC? I see the infrastructure is obvious for all to see, but personally, what gives you the most fulfillment about your time at UPSC?
It's interesting. For me personally, it's not about infrastructure. That's what people see and all of that. But the fact that we made people believe more in UPSC. And I think that from a purely Ghanaian perspective, purely Ghanaian owned, that Ghanaians can do well if given the opportunity, that we don't need anyone. Yes, we collaborate. Yes, we network. But at the end of the day, the Ghanaian can take us from ground zero or wherever we are to compete with the world. That's what we did for UPSC.
Why was that very important to you?
Usually people look at the tangibles, but we forget that it starts from the things within and what we believe in. And now giving the young people, and when you talk to students, I like talking to students. The days when they came to IPS and you ask them which school they attend and they will intentionally mention Legon. because they didn't believe in the brand UPSA. Thankfully, successful leaders built UPSA and we came to continue. Now our students are so proud. And when I see our students, like they say, shading other universities, come and see what we have, UPSA this. They go to work and they are proud to say we went to UPSA. For me, that's a fulfillment. The fact that now young people want to come to UPSA and some cry for not coming to UPSA. For me, it's the greatest legacy that we could leave to the next generation.
I'm listening to you very intensely and I can see 3 clear themes coming out of what you are saying. Let's see if I can explore. And it's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about successive leaders have built and you came to build on it. How important is continuity in the governance framework? How important is continuity in building an enduring legacy?
Yeah. They say I'm able to see far because I stand on the shoulders of giants. I think that this is what this country, we must consciously learn, that you don't need to destroy what others have done to make yourself important. The stars, they don't collide, they both shine, and there's a lot of space at the top. So what others have done, it helps you in order to build on it. It means that you don't have to build. For example, the founder gave us the name IPS. That itself, it's worth millions in the bank. Then you had leaders who have come to establish, build UPSA. It's an advantage for me to just continue. If my father left a foundation, I don't have to destroy a foundation and then put up a building on it. I need to just continue. It saves me time, cost, energy, and all the resources. And I think that that's what we have to learn as whether corporates, whether at the governmental level, wherever, that build on what you have met. And it saves everybody the time.
Let's talk about the power of a brand. You said your biggest achievement is making somebody proud to say, I am at UPSC, or I went to UPSC. From the Harvards of this life, the Oxfords of this life, and all the big names, the universities that are littered across the world, it would seem that when that name is big, the products go into the marketplace and they literally have an automatic advantage. Just at the mention of where they are coming from. Was it something that you set out to do or a byproduct of a journey that you set out to do with other objectives?
My background is first degree economics and then 2 masters in marketing, MBA, MPhil, then a same professional. So it's the orientation I had. So building a brand is not a fast. It's a conscious effort we made. Why would you buy, so we say MTN? It's a brand that you are choosing. So people buy brands, they don't buy products. So it's important for us to build a brand. There was an experiment done about Coke and Pepsi, I think in the US or so. Now, naturally, the US citizen was at the time inclined to buy a Coca-Cola. They put a Coke in one glass and label it A, and then Pepsi in one label it B. Then they asked people to taste, blind tasting. When they tried, they asked them, what do you like? Most people said they preferred the B, which was Pepsi. Then they were asked to go and purchase in the shop. When they went to the shop, they purchased Coke. So it tells you the power of a brand. So you may do the best. Okay, UPSA, IPS offering the best professional programs, tuition and all of that. But if people don't believe in the brand, then you have a problem. And so we set out to build a brand. And building a brand is not a propaganda. See, people think that marketing is propaganda. It is not. Because the best way to kill a bad product fast is to advertise it. Because once they buy it and it's not good, what will happen? Don't buy again.
So how do you ensure there's some synchronicity between what you proclaim and the experience?
So we always have to ensure that, like we say, under promise and over deliver. Because if over promise and you under deliver, they'll have a problem. They won't come back again.
In terms of programs, collaborations, investments, mindset change, walk me through a couple of things that give you a lot of fulfillment when you reflect on them. In terms of the 8-year tenure from the 1st of January 2017 till the last day of
2024. Yes, and all of that.
In terms of the collaborations you initiated, the partnerships, the infrastructure, the program changes, the student mindsets. What were a couple of the things that you see, these were the novel that put UPSC in an advantageous position?
Okay. So I started 2017, 1st January, the very bad note all over the media space, lambasting me, qualifications and all kinds of things.
What is the problem?
That I wasn't qualified to occupy the seat.
Was it the first time you've heard that kind of thing?
and that my qualifications were fake. I mean, somebody who went to Aquarian Secondary School, Prempeh College, 7 years at University of Ghana, Economics Department, Business School. I mean, here I am. People were saying all kinds of things. And the thing is this, nothing succeeds like success. The way to prove people wrong is to deliver. So there was no need for us to go to confront people. And you are distracted. Do your job. So with the team we had, that was what I told them, that the best way to vindicate ourselves is to do the job. So said first in teaching and learning, what to make our students believe in UPSA. Number 2, we said infrastructure, because people look at, it's what they see that they believe in. Infrastructure. Number 3, in the world of universities, when they say it's a good university, it's about the quality of staff. So research is important. So what do we do with our research to make our lecturers publish in good journals? And then number 4, of course, our collaborations and our reputation. So our ranking. So what do we need to be ranked? By the time UPSA appeared in no ranking whatsoever. Now 8 years on, we are featuring constantly in the Times Higher Education. We've been voted several times the best 3 in Ghana. In some cases, number 1 in some of the metrics and all of that. Now, when we mention UPSA, we'll get to know, because we focus on these four thematic areas and say these are the things we have to do with UPSA. So student learning, etc. We know that UPSA is good with accounting, marketing, professional programs. One of the things we did was the fact that we now offered the professional tuition for every degree student free of charge. So that if you are a UPSA student, necessarily if you are reading accounting, you have to do C at least at the first level, and we offer the tuition free. It's interesting that now we get a lot of UPSA students, by the time they finish their first degree, they are at the verge of chartering. Some have chartered, whether CIMG or CIMUK or ACC, we get us in chartering. So they now realize that if you are a professional accountant or marketer instead of a degree, you can perform better in the market, and people prefer to employ you more than the others, because you are competing. And I tell the students, you are not just competing with those from University of Ghana or Kenya University, but those from Harvard, those from Oxford. So when they are employing you, they're not looking at the shape of your head or how handsome or beautiful you are, what you can deliver. See yourself as a product that you are going to meet a need. And so we insisted, and the students had a joke that is the University of Professional Suffering. Because the things we take you through, the soft skills are important. For example, we have what we call the Monday professional dressing. You got to dress professionally on a Monday as if you are going to the office. And then presentation, that you should be able to do PowerPoint and things like that. Those are the things that we combined and said, this is a UPC student. And now they go out there, it brings confidence. And I keep on saying, we are not where we want to get to yet. Until we get to the very top, we should not slow down.
Vision, drive, passion, soft skills, collaboration, and nothing beats success like success. So these are the reflections of Reverend Professor Abednego Feehi Okoe Amartey, my guest today on Springboard, your virtual university. A man I could talk to for hours on end and still have so much more to ask. I'll give you a chance to catch your breath, grab a drink, call a friend to tune in, log on, watch us. When I come back, let's go into those timeless, priceless lessons that anyone, anywhere can use to move your life forward. Our discussion today is themed Dare to Dream. No matter how bad your beginning or your environment is, dare to dream that you can become somebody. And guess what? You can. Let me say that Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Ratio Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana, the Enterprise Group, the Ghana Growth Program, a collaboration of Mastercard Foundation and Springboard. Our media partners, the Multimedia Group and Graphic. Let me tell you that the Enterprise Advantage tip for today is about a personal or individual retirement plan. Retirement is a period in your life where you no longer have the luxury of earned income in the way that you have known it for years. Whether you are a formal or informal sector worker, an individual retirement plan ensures that you have an added advantage that offers you a means of financial stability and security. Don't find yourself retiring and looking back and saying, if someone had told me, I would have made different choices. This is brought to you by the Enterprise Group. Their number 030-263-4777 and email info@myenterprisegroup.io. Enterprise, your advantage. Let's go for a break. When we come back, the ins and the outs of leadership and what you and I can do as we dare to dream. Please don't go away.
Whether it's 1924, 2024, or 2124, we've always known that you are driven by your sense of safety and well-being. It is what drives us to see you through from start to finish, from small to big. And in the last 100 years, as you have evolved, so have we also expanded to serve you in many ways. From cradle to grave, with expertise in insurance, life, pensions, properties, health, and for those beautiful memorable goodbyes. It's 2024, and in all our markets, our pedigree is recognized, our strength respected, our expertise valued, and our solutions sought by all who desire an advantage in life. Experience the time-tested and truly trusted 100 years legacy of Ghana's oldest insurer. Take charge of your future now. Insurance, life, pensions, property management, funeral services, health insurance. Enterprise, your advantage.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, and to this incredible conversation with my dear friend and brother, Reverend Professor Abednego Feehi Okoe Amartey, who is the immediate past Vice Chancellor of the University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA, and also the author of this beautiful book called All Is Well, Feehi. Living a life guided by grace and goodness. Prof has been giving us a brief into the kind of beginnings that he had. And we've themed this discussion, Dare to Dream. And the whole idea is that it doesn't matter where you start from. Job chapter 8 verse 7 says, though your beginnings were small, your latter end will greatly increase. So really, it doesn't matter where you start. If you can apply some principles, they can project you to where God has designed for you to be. He talks about the importance of affirmation. Right when you are young, your grandfather, your parents telling you, this family, we believe in hard work, we believe in integrity, we believe in this, and how those help to shape him till today. We also are walking through his legacy at UPSA. But there's a story that you must hear about a certain pair of trousers that was not intended to be that way, but which ended up being that way. Prof, what at the book launch, Nathaniel Atto told this story about some trousers, and it was just very, very, very humorous. Actually, the twists and turns of the journey is not easy. Tell me, what happened?
And that was creating problems. So I finished this from my national service, got admission to read economics, which you also did a year ahead of me.
Yes.
The University of Ghana. So I was excited. So my Uncle Zoo, my dad, gave me money to get some few trousers at the Bendam Boutique, Tama Station, TS, we used to call it those days, to get used clothing. I mean, that was the best you could get.
Afford, yes.
Yes. So I went and got some 2 trousers, nice ones in my estimation, some shirts. So first day for lectures, I boldly dressed up trousers. Then my roommate also went dark it. So they said, what are you wearing? So what is that? So check the flap. So what about it? I said, that is ladies' trousers. The flap. you know, for the guys, it's the other way around. I was like, what? He said, yes, that is it. So from that, and that was the only thing I had. So from that day, I'll be holding my book in front of me. You'll be wondering, me going for lectures, holding my book in front of me, because I didn't want anyone to see that the trousers were...
I'm sure nobody was looking, apart from the dog kitty. Nobody was looking by the consciousness.
So for an entire year, that was what I used.
To borrow the words of Nat, if you see anyone walking, they're holding a book and covering the front of their trousers, it means they're wearing ladies' trousers. So tell me, how some of those stories about tough beginnings may sound funny today, but what kind of leader has it made you?
So I tell me this way, responsible leadership.
What does it mean?
Do what is expected of you. My council chairman, Dr. Abednego could put it this way: do what is right, not what is easy. So at each point in time, you are looking at what is the best decision to make, not about comfort, what is right. It can be very difficult, can be painful, but you have to do what you have to do.
Let me ask you a question, right based on this. I mean, you quoted the same quote during the book launch, but sometimes leaders will say that that which is right, you may not last in the leadership position because that which is right is sometimes in the short term unpopular. And it ultimately will yield good results. But survival makes people sometimes say, Charlie, this is ultimately right, but I doubt I'll still be in the position if I chose that path. I see it with football coaches, I see it with leaders. So they sometimes compromise on what is right because they just need to survive. What will be your thoughts about that?
In fact, you are very, and I've lived that virtually throughout my 8 years, where you believe that this is the right thing, others know it's the right thing, but for the sake of personal interest, you are to compromise. One of the things that I think that we did was a lot of stakeholder engagements, explaining why we got to make these decisions. Of course, some people never accepted, and they have to live with that. It's the balance between the short-term gratification and the long-term objectives that you want to achieve. In the process, you make personal enemies. They think it's personal. It's not personal. And I don't envy the football coaches, governmental leaders, because those are the things that you have to make. If you look at our country itself, you see that every day because we want to win elections. So sometimes you are looking at short-term needs. There's a place where you can give people what they want without overly affecting the long-term objectives. But where it is clearly against the long-term objectives, then as a leader, for the sake of the principles you have, and a legacy, stand by what you believe is the truth.
Did you risk your tenure sometimes just because of what you believe?
Several times. In fact, my second term, 4 years, I served 8 years, there were letters written to council and given to every council member why I should not be given another chance, a second term, and listed 1,001 things. Of course, now thankfully, council are made up of men and women of substance. So they will interrogate the issues. And I think then I was like, so it was good we stood by the decisions we made, because ultimately it will be tested, it will be tried, and the decision we made. But I would even have no regrets if even council decided that they were not going to renew my tenure based on what people wrote, when I believe strongly that that was the right decision to make. I wouldn't have any.
You're not a good politician.
I can do politics.
because you don't sound like what a regular politician will say. What kind of person are you?
Very simple, ordinary. I mean, from the background of a fish, I'm selling fish, going to the farm, eating cake, gari, and that kind of thing. It's just a normal, simple life. I've never taken myself that serious. It's just normal life. I mean, keep it simple and short. It's always the mantra.
So you mean all the international conferences you attended, addressed global bodies all over the world, you still you still don't see yourself as anything more than a very simple person with this kind of background?
I'm grateful for all of that, but it doesn't really impress me. I'm looking at the boy Atla, who I'm seeing every Sunday, who is trying to make ends meet. I'm looking at that girl that came to me yesterday with the father, gaining admission at the university, and she can't pay the fees. Those are the reality. Those are the things that we live every day. That is why I still would go to La every week, because that's the reality. That's what they live by every day, and that's what life's about. So I'm grateful for sitting by a president. I'm grateful for the conference outside. I'm grateful for going to Westminster to be invited for lunch. I'm grateful for all of that. But at the end of the day, you still have to come back home. Have you realized that no matter how you travel, when you get back to Ghana from the airport, you go straight to your house, then you enter your room, and you are there alone.
Yeah.
And then you are like, so after all the things you saw in Washington, D.C., this is your home. This is, the traffic in Ghana is still there. The boys who are begging by the streets are still there. That's what we live by every day.
How big is mentoring for you?
I can't overstate it. I've been so fortunate. Growing up, for example, I had my mother, then my uncle became my adopted father, and the several uncles and the big cousins and all of that. And then in the church, I've been so fortunate. I think that the role that pastors play in this country is not really appreciated, because one preaching you listen to on any network, a statement they will make can change my worldview altogether. And I noticed that from my church, I had my senior pastor who is going to be with the Lord, Apostle Ojidaku, etc. Those simple teachings, I listen to all the men, or whether it's Archbishop Williams or Dr. Otabel or Reverend Suranaba or Apostle Nasan Kranchi Ankra or Professor Yarno or Professor Nasa Kodie, across I listen to them regularly. And you have no idea the things they say and the influence is hard on me. And when it's difficult, you run to one of them. And the prayer, the encouragement, Bishop James Sir, the motivation alone. So for me, I love pastors. People bash in this country, but the contribution they make to the life of the young ones in this country, you have no idea. You have no idea. Otherwise, a lot of them are committing suicide.
So let's look at your role as a pastor and your role as a leader, an academic, a manager of people, a leader. Do you find that leadership in your religious life and leadership in your professional life have a relationship? Is there a relationship between them?
The best leader that this universe has ever produced, Jesus Christ. So those principles that are taught in church, they work everywhere, whether it's loyalty, whether it is consistency, whether it's hard work, whether it's faith, all those things still work, etc. So I do not separate what I do in church from what I do in a secular work. I don't see the difference. Those values still apply. Of course, you adapt it to suit what you do. So for me, leadership is consistency. And people should not second guess you. They know what you stand for. So you can be my best friend. You know that this one, I can't take to VC. He won't do it.
Right.
This one, he will do it. Is that consistency?
Somebody, a friend of mine, shared something about one of his objectives for the year. That's Yalpebi. His objectives for the year is to bridge the gap between Sunday and Monday. It was a nice, I like the capture.
Yeah.
That means that the faith we express in church must reflect it more in our work.
Yeah.
And it's something that I believe very much. And in our previous discussion before we came on air, I was telling you about how we look forward to having you at our Practical Christianity Hangouts. And that mainly is about letting the principles of the scripture reflect in dominion in the marketplace, being exemplary in the marketplace. How can we achieve more of that? The person who comes to church on a Sunday being able to take those principles and have an even greater impact. Yes, we've had impact. Your life is an example. But how can we have a critical mass, numbers of people who are demonstrably making an impact in their professional lives as a result of the ethics, the values, the principles they've learned from their faith and the church?
To be simple, be consistent. Just be consistent. Nobody should second guess you. What you are on a Sunday, how many hours do you spend in church on a Sunday?
Probably just 2 hours.
And then the rest. So Christianity is lived out there. It's not lived in church. Church, we are motivated, we are encouraged, we are rebuked, we are instructed. But at the end of the day, you got to live those values in church. So be consistent. I believe leadership is about consistency.
Let me move on to education. I genuinely know that we can't exhaust your thoughts on education, but let's talk about the power of education. Using your life as an example, how has education contributed to where you are today?
I say two things in life for me: Christianity and education. It made all the difference. Education is a leveler. It takes somebody like me from the market selling fish to the ivory tower of a university. It's education. And once you mention that, then it's about discipline. The thing about education is about discipline. They will tell you when to come to school, when to have change lesson, when to eat, when to go out. They say man was known free, but everywhere in chains at the end of the day. But that's what education brings to you, discipline. And that is what I can't belabor the point. That is what made a difference. So here is the boy from La, walking barefooted, and still with guys from cantonments who are driving to school.
It's close, but very far away.
And I am walking from La, trade fair, 4 miles to Aquinas. And these guys live just behind Aquinas and they're driving to school. I am wearing one white shirt from Monday to Friday. They are changing their shirts every day. Now, obviously, the teachers and the masters will love this for them more. They have all the textbooks. I have to borrow a textbook. I didn't even have a pen, and I have to borrow a pen to write examinations.
Have you ever found yourself telling a story and somebody say you are lying? Your children say you are lying.
They can't relate.
I tried describing the June 4th and even the 1983 famine to my children.
Yeah.
It was quite a struggle to get them to understand.
They can't relate.
You can even queue for kinky that has not been boiled. Because if you wait for it to be boiled, you won't get some, or you're chewing yellow corn, or you were cracking copra, or some of the stories were like milk and mackerel were unavailable.
No, they can't.
Do you find sometimes you're trying to tell a story?
They can't relate. Then, okay, all right, okay, but you just could tell by the facial expression that it's something that they are wondering whether it happened on Mars or somewhere, but they can't relate.
How do you relate to? Let me share 2 theories with you and tell me which school of thought you belong to. I once heard somebody say, "Me, it told me I've suffered, so they too they must suffer." And so some people believe that because they suffered, their children must suffer. The second school of thought says, "I suffered to lay a foundation for them to have a better life." The 2 schools of thought, which one do you belong to?
For me, it's a blend.
Help me to understand.
So first, in the foundations must be right. The principles that brought me this far, they are still relevant, except that you apply them. So I didn't have I walk barefooted to school. You don't need to. But the principle of hard work, you must still carry it. Because if you don't, you cannot go to the next level. And even if I have something to leave for you, to leave as inheritance for you, you will lose it. So learn the values, but apply it within your times, because it's a changing environment. You don't need to go hungry like I did. But when you finish eating, appreciate it and study. So the principles are the same, but the application will be different.
Love this. I love this. You found a very safe way to navigate. This one is more political than the other one. So, Prof, what's next to you after UPS? I know you're still a pastor, so you have a pastor there. Yeah. But let's get a sense of your thoughts as of now.
Before I could even leave offers started coming, but I made it clear that not in the immediate future.
You want a break?
Then I realized that from 2004, after election, I've never taken a break before. And I wake up in the morning, I was like, I didn't know I was that tired. But now, I lead the first, and I've not had time actually, because, of course, I'm in January, the church programs are many and all of that. But I'm now spending more time with God. I'm like, oh, so it can be that enjoyable. You are praying, when you're working, you pray 2 hours, you come and pray 1 hour, you are in a hurry and all of that. But now you have more time, that kind of thing. Of course, I know I'm not going to be home for forever. Forever. I mean, a lot of us but I'm saying, let me take some break. And the university actually gave me 2 years sabbatical leave to come back after. Well, that is in the future. But I know there were a lot of things to do. Right.
Let's talk about this book. What's next for this book? I really think it's nice when people write, because then I'll take it and read some chapter about accidents and God delivering you from accidents. Then I'll take a chapter about the battles that you fought, and I'm like, I know we're cool. How important is this for you? What's next for the book?
Let's say that I'm laying on several eggs. There are several eggs to be laid, and Uncle White, I think it was on a show one day when he said each person has at least one book in him. Yeah. Of course, I've written several books, but it's academia. This is more social, and there are several that hopefully should come out of this
very
as
good
well. And I think that, I wasn't going to launch this at the time we did, because I felt there were too many obstacles. And thanks to you, you were like, it can be done. We had just about a week or so. And those words we spoke, and you making calls to people to get this thing done, this is the baby that came out of it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Without you, this thing would not have come.
I'm just very excited for you. And I think the launch was very beautiful. The testimonies were beautiful. And the readings by different people. It was almost like the book was written by you, but it was owned by so many people who felt a part of your story. Let me say a big thank you to Kobi Asma, CEO of Type, for availing yourself for this project. I like literary projects. I think that it makes society stronger, because somebody will look at you at UPSC and say, oh, he was nice, his car was nice, the buildings. But when they read what you've written, they get to understand your soul, the impact of your grandfather's words, your mother's. You can't get that from just watching a person. Prof, let's sign off by asking you to share a thought with that young person who started life, guess what, in a seemingly or ostensibly underprivileged situation. Maybe their parents they don't even have both parents alive, or they are alive but economically disenfranchised. The location is not that advantageous, and they're like, all the odds are stacked against me. Please do me a favor, look in this camera and talk to that person who says, Charlie, as on my own day, it is bad. What would you say to them?
So, my dear young man and my dear young woman, you are at the best position of your life when you have no one to turn to but God. It cannot get worse than where you are now. And that's the more reason why you must rise up. There are several people who had worse situations compared to yours, and they made it. That's the motivation. You can rise from those ashes and get to the top. What doesn't break you will make you better. That's what life is about. And the joy of life is the fact that you faced a challenge and you overcame it. But life is more than just about you. Life is about those that you impact. Your life is not for you alone. And the joy is somebody looking at your life and say, you faced similar circumstances and you made it. And that person is encouraged by you. That is what life is about. So you are in good company. You are not alone. Several people have faced the same situations and they've come out of it victorious. You will also do the same. Thank you.
I tell you what, thank you so much for making time for us, Reverend Professor Abednego Feehi Okoe Amartey. It's just a blessing to have you, and I look forward to engaging with you the more as you reflect on a well-lived phase of your life as immediate past Vice Chancellor of UPSC. And I'm sure that anyone who walks through UPSC will benefit from what you did, whether you are there in person or not. They'll benefit from the foundations or the work that you have done, which is itself on the foundations that others have laid. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. You've always been there.
This is your home
platform. Thank you so much.
It's your home. So, but if somebody wants to get this book, can you guide us on how they can get a copy of the book, All Is Well? I love the name, Feehi, All Is Well.
Okay, so very soon it'll be at University of Ghana bookshop. It will be at UPP. But once you get to UPSC campus and ask of Dr. Tinua Mensah, you can always get copies.
We'll make an effort to also help to get this in the hands of many other people who are starting from a disadvantaged position, so that they can become vice chancellors, they can become accomplished people and go to Westminster. Charlie, go to Westminster. Oh, to God be the glory. This has been another beautiful edition of Springboard of Virtual University with my brother, Reverend Professor Abednego Feehi Okoe Amartey, immediate past Vice Chancellor of UPSC, reflecting on Dare to Dream. And listen, whoever you are, wherever you are, dare to dream that you can become somebody and also leave a legacy. Springboard has been brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with MTN Ghana, the Enterprise Group, and Ghana Growth Program, a collaboration between MasterCard Foundation and Springboard, aimed at inspiring young people to look for decent and fulfilling work in agriculture, agribusiness, and ATVET. Until I come away again next week, my name is Albert Okran, saying God bless you, and God bless you.
Turn around.